Welcome to the D-Zone YouTube channel. I'm Adam, and in today's video we're going to be tearing down this 450 4-stroke engine right here all the way down to the crankshaft in detail. So today's video is part 2 of a series we're doing on this channel where we're going through the entire process of rebuilding a 450 4-stroke engine. If you haven't checked out part 1 yet, I recommend doing so just because we went over everything you need to know before you actually start working on the engine and getting it torn down. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into the teardown. So the engine is all positioned here on the engine stand, and you may notice I have the tools out here ready to go. I went over these tools in the last video, but if you're curious about them, I'll still talk about them a little bit in this video, but if you want more detail on whether or not you need certain special tools, then go check out that last video in the series. But first things first, we're going to go ahead and remove the valve cover off of the engine here. And removing the valve cover is actually really easy. All you're going to need to do is remove these 2 Allen bolts and then make sure to bag up the washers behind them as well. And the valve cover just pulls right off here. You want to go kind of slowly just to make sure you don't rip this reusable rubber gasket. So now that our valve cover is removed, we'll go ahead, move to the ignition side of the engine and remove these 2 caps here that allow us to adjust the timing. All you'll need to remove these caps should just be a big screwdriver. So now that the caps are removed, it's pretty easy to get the engine to top dead center. We'll just want to make sure that the line on the flywheel in here lines up with our line on the threads for that cap. And it looks like we actually forgot our O-ring, so don't forget your O-ring when you're removing the caps. So it looks like we're aligned now. This engine was actually seized when we got it, but we were able to get it unseized by working the crankshaft back and forth. So we know we're at top dead center because our camshafts are now pointing at 10 and 2 on the clock. And the next step is just to remove these valve covers here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do small rotations on each bolt, and we're going to work in a crisscross pattern. This one, you'll want to check the service manual for if you have 6 bolts on one, just to see if there's a special loosening sequence that they want you to work with. If you don't have this particular engine, you can go ahead and refer to your service manual. A lot of engines will have a different cam setup. So for example, a Honda will have a unicam design with just one camshaft driving the valves. Now that the cam cap bolts are loosened, we can go ahead and remove our timing chain tensioner. This will just make it a little bit easier to take off our timing chain. Now that our tensioner is removed, we can go ahead, start to remove the chain here, and then actually we'll go ahead and finish by removing the cam caps just so we can get the camshafts out, because on this particular engine you can't drop the chain down without removing both the camshafts. So sometimes these cam covers here are a little bit stubborn, so kind of have to just work them back and forth and then they'll pop off of there. It's also important to note when you remove your cam caps, there's oftentimes a little C-ring on both sides that holds the cam cover in place and just kind of holds everything together. So make sure to keep track of that and the orientation of it when removing your cam caps. Since we removed both of our cam caps, we can go ahead and just pop out the camshafts, and this will allow us to just let the chain drop down into the bottom end. And the final thing I'll do here before I move on is go ahead and make sure there's no dowel pins left over from each of the cam caps. Before we can remove our cylinder head, we actually need to remove the 2 nuts that hold it on here at the bottom. These will just require a wrench to remove. And now we can move up top and remove our cylinder head bolts that go down into the crankcase. And we're just going to want to do a 1/4 turn each time to loosen these up a little bit, because they actually do tension down the head. And we just want to make sure they go off evenly so we don't damage the cylinder head. And make sure to take note of where these bolts came from, because sometimes they can be different lengths. So when you're working on your cylinder head, you just want to be careful that these buckets don't fall out of here. They are specific to whichever valve they go to, so you just want to make sure they stay in, or if you do take them out, you want to make sure you label them correctly. And removing the cylinder head now is actually fairly straightforward. You just need to work it back and forth, because you're going to actually slide it off of a couple dowel pins that hold the cylinder head to the cylinder. So now we have 1 dowel pin left behind, and usually removing these is fairly straightforward. There's kind of 3 steps you can go through. The first one is trying to remove it by hand. This one's actually coming out a little bit by hand, so I'll push it back in. The next one would be taking a pair of needle nose pliers and grabbing it lightly. You don't want to mar up the outside of the dowel pin, because that's what goes into the engine. And later on in this video, I'll make sure to show you the third step. I'm just going to wait to see if there's any more stuck dowel pins. And now that we have our cylinder head removed, we can move on to removing the cylinder. So we'll just remove the last bolt that's holding it on, and then the timing chain tensioner. There's going to be one on the left that's removable. The one on the right will not come out. And then we'll just slowly work the cylinder off by pushing the piston down as we're pulling up. So now that our cylinder is removed, I actually took a look at it pretty quick, and it looked in really good shape for a damaged engine. I'll go into detail in a later video on inspecting all of these parts, but we did find where the damage culprit is coming from. It's coming from the lower bearing in our crankshaft. It's just seized up and not wanting to spin at all. So that's a pretty common failure on a 4-stroke engine. So we're going to go ahead and keep tearing down this engine. So I have the engine flipped around here now because we're going to go ahead and remove the piston circlip to pull the piston off. It's just easier on this side because you don't have the timing chain and timing chain guide in the way. And then I'm also just going to take a moment here to stuff a couple rags in. I'm not worried about losing the circlip. If you're just doing a top end, you would be worried about losing that circlip down in the bottom end. But since we're going to be breaking open the bottom end anyways, I'm just going to stuff some rags in because I don't want the crankshaft moving around and banging up the cases. So now we can remove the circlips. These are a little bit different of a style than what I'm used to on most engines, but these ones, they'll just have a little hole in it and you can actually stab a pick into them to get it to remove. On this second one, I actually ended up having to remove it just because it covered it up, so I couldn't actually punch out the wrist pin. So we're just going to pull it out the same way, kind of work a pick and a screwdriver in there. We're not reusing this piston, so we're not really concerned about damaging it or anything. So since our circlips are out of the way, we can go ahead and remove the wrist pin. We're just going to hammer it out because we're replacing our crankshaft and it was pretty stuck in there. If yours was stuck in there and you were not replacing your crankshaft, I would definitely recommend using a piston pin puller. Next, I'll go ahead and begin tearing into the right side of our engine here so we can go ahead and get closer to splitting the cases. I do want to say if you are interested in any of the tools we've been talking about so far, we'll make sure to have them linked down below in the description for you. And if you have any questions up until this point, make sure to let us know in the comment section. Before I can remove the rest of the right side case, I need to take the kickstarter off of the engine. So this is pretty easy. You'll just remove that one bolt and the kickstarter should slide off. And then we can go ahead and actually just start loosening up all these 8mm bolts that hold on the right side case. Because this right side case is attached to the kickstart shaft and it's so big, it's a little tricky to remove, but what you want to do is just take a small mallet and slowly work it off each side. So after I moved that right side case, there's actually a dowel that's stuck here and it's pretty hard to get out, so I'm going to show you that method I was talking about earlier. So basically what you want to do is you'll find a socket that fits just inside the diameter. You want it to be somewhat snug, and then that'll prevent, when you grab it with a good pair of pliers, it won't actually push in the dowel pin. It'll keep it formed the way you want it. So we're just going to go start by wiggling it back and forth, kind of break up some of that rust, and then we'll just start to slowly kind of work it out of here. And they'll come, you just got to kind of work with them back and forth. And there we go. Now we can just remove our gasket. You want to make sure and do it slowly just so you don't have any leftover gasket residue. And now I'll start to tear down the clutch a bit, so I'm just going to remove the clutch spring bolts and springs here, and then go ahead, take off the pressure plate, and just remove all of the clutch plates one at a time. And this engine had been sitting for a while prior to teardown, so some of these plates were a little bit rusted together, so I just used a small flat blade screwdriver to help separate them to remove them from the clutch. And if you were working on an engine that was not rusted like this, you could go ahead and probably remove all the plates in one fluid motion. Now the clutch plates are removed, I'll go ahead and start working on this balancing shaft gear here. So what I'll do is I'll first need to bend back these tabs, and then after I get them all bent back with a screwdriver and a hammer, I'll go ahead and remove them using the Motion Pro gear jammer tool to keep the gear in place. And then I can actually remove the washer and then pull the gear off the balancing shaft. So now that our balancing shaft gear is removed, we'll repeat those same steps on the crank primary drive gear. We had to leave the crank primary drive gear in because we needed to use it to jam up that balancing shaft gear. And that's also why we didn't remove the clutch, is because we needed the clutch to remove our crank primary drive gear. And since we needed the clutch to be able to remove those two gears there, now we can actually remove the clutch. So I'm going to use the clutch holding tool on the clutch inner basket here, get it locked, not super tight but just a little snug, and that'll allow me to go ahead and remove the clutch nut and then remove the inner hub and outer hub from the engine. You just want to make sure there's usually a lot of washers and things. You want to make sure to keep that in order with the clutch as you're removing them. And now that our clutch is all out of the way, we'll go ahead and remove the crank primary drive gear and then the balancing shaft attachment gear. And next, I like to remove our Kickstarter gear. We'll just use a screwdriver to pop the spring out, and then make sure to not forget your washer. And now we'll take our handy pair of snap ring pliers here and remove our kickstart transfer gear and our oil pump drive gear. When you're taking both of these off, be careful and watch out to make sure you're not leaving any washers behind. The next step is going to be to just pull out the oil pump. The oil pump is actually really easy to remove. It's just 3 Allen head bolts and then 1 Phillips head screw, and then the oil pump will just slide out of the crankcase. And if you're a new engine builder, you'll probably want to keep your oil pump assembly together until we go ahead and inspect it later on. And we hadn't yet gotten to removing our shift lever, so we'll need to take that off before we can actually remove our shift assembly on the other side of the engine. So I know the shift assembly, if it's your first time, may look a little bit intimidating, but we're going to go over all this stuff on the assembly process. So just remove those 2 bolts, take out the shift shaft. That's what actually moves the assembly up and down when you're actually shifting. And then we'll take out our ratchet and pawls here. These you want to try and keep together if you can. If not, we're going to go over it like I said, so no big deal. And then we can go ahead, remove the 2 bolts that hold in our shift selector and our shift detent. And after we can remove those bolts, we can actually remove both of these parts. And that's pretty much it for disassembling the shifting assembly. It's actually really easy to disassemble. It's a little bit more complex to put together, so we'll definitely go over that in future videos. So the right side of the engine is completely torn down and pretty much ready to split. We got all the bolts removed, so we'll go over to the left side of the engine here and start by taking off our ignition cover. So sometimes your flywheel cover will be a little bit difficult to pull off because the flywheel is actually magnetized on some engines, but you should still be able to pull it off by hand. And if you have an impact driver, removing the flywheel bolt should be pretty easy. You just want to put your hand on the crankshaft to make sure it doesn't bang around. If you do not, I'll have a flywheel holder linked down below. And now that my flywheel bolt and washer are removed, I can thread in my flywheel puller. And then I'll go ahead and start threading in the bolt. The bolt is basically going to push the flywheel off. In this case, the flywheel puller was reverse thread, so just watch out for that on your engine. Next up, we'll remove our magneto, which is also referred to as a stator. And these are usually really easy to remove. In this case, we did have Torx head bolts, so you just want to make sure you have the right size Torx bit so you don't actually strip these out. And next, I'll just use my variable speed impact to take out these bolts here, and then I can go ahead, slide out the magneto, and then I'll remove the wires from the crankcase. You should just have to work this back and forth and it'll pop out. And next we want to get to our timing chain, so I'll go ahead and remove our final timing chain guide, and then that should allow us to just pull the timing chain out of the ignition side of the engine. And since everything's out of the way, our balancing shaft can come out as well. And I'll just go ahead and take off the sprocket. While we're at it, we're going to need to remove the sprocket to separate the cases. And lastly, before we can separate the cases, we're going to remove all the bolts on the ignition side as well. You really want to double and triple check that you get all the bolts out before you start to split the engine cases in half. There's a lot of bolts that'll hide in certain places on the engine, so you really want to double and triple check to make sure you didn't miss any bolts. Okay, so the engine is all ready to go. To take it off the stand now and then put it on a couple blocks of wood and then go ahead and get the cases all split. So the Tusk crankcase splitter works great to split cases. You're just going to want to make sure everything is centered and even so it does not break the tool. And then you're going to want to make sure the arms of the tool are as far left as possible since our crankshaft is off on the right and we want things to split evenly. And then we'll go ahead and thread in our bolts as tightly as possible. So now that we got all of our bolts tightly secured into the crankcase half, we're going to go ahead and start to split the cases. I'm just going to use a 3/8 drive wrench with a 17mm socket here, and I'm going to go around really slowly. I just want to make sure the cases are splitting evenly, and I'm going to have a rubber mallet with me just in case they aren't. If they're not sliding on a couple of the transmission shafts, you might need to tap them or tap the slide of the case that's not keeping up with the other side. But as long as you're going slowly and not getting ahead of yourself here, this job should not be terribly difficult. So at this point I have the cases completely separated. I'm just going to lift it off very slowly, making sure I don't take the transmission shafts with me. I want the whole transmission to stay together. Right after you go ahead and split the cases and you have the two sides right next to each other, you want to check the side you just took off and make sure there's not any washers that stuck to it. It looks like they all stayed on this side, so we're good. Alright, so the next step that we're going to take is, since we know for sure we have to replace the crankshaft, we're going to replace the main bearings here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and take those out today. I'm also going to take out some seals and stuff, but I'm going to leave in every other bearing for now, and I'll show you guys how to inspect that in the next video, and then we'll actually see which ones we're replacing then, or if we're replacing any. And then also I'm going to go ahead and just remove the transmission, since we are going to be replacing some bearings. It'll just be easier to have this out of the way and can give it a full inspection on the table. Removing the main bearings is pretty simple. You're just going to need a Torx bit, and you really want to make sure you're using like an impact screwdriver or an impact driver to get these out so you don't strip them. And then we're going to go ahead and heat around the main bearing just to make it come out a little bit easier. I'm not going to get it super hot or anything, probably somewhere in the range of 120, 130 degrees. And then we're going to go ahead, get a socket that fits on the bearing, and just hammer this thing out. Sometimes it'll take quite a few hits, but as long as it's moving each time, you should be good to go. And removing each style of transmission is a little bit different. This one, you can pull out the shift drum first, and then I'll pull out both of the shift forks. So you just need to find whichever one kind of budges first, and then I'll go ahead and just kind of lightly hammer out these shafts, since they were a little bit rusted into the cases here. And now I should just be able to slowly work them out, and we just want to make sure everything stays together, and then I definitely want to check for washers on the other side. So normally you can actually push out the crankshaft with this crankshaft removal tool here if you're going to reuse it, but in this case we're not reusing it, so I'm just going to go ahead and just hammer it out. And now that the crankshaft is completely removed from the engine, I'll go ahead and just match those same steps I used on the right side case on this left side case here to just pop out the main bearing. Alright, so that is as far as we'll be getting in today's video. Really appreciate you watching to the end and hope you learn a bunch of useful information for your rebuild. In the next video, we're going to go ahead and go over inspecting all these parts and actually throwing the engine back together. So I'm really excited for that, and I hope you guys are as well. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a thumbs up, and also consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss this engine going back together. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.